So how in the world do I make a decision? It's easy when those decisions are, do I want a cup of coffee this morning? Do I want to see my friend? But sometimes they can get a little bit more complicated depending on what the decision is, like deciding on your career, deciding on your relationship, deciding on where you'll live or move. So let's talk a little bit about how we can try to make this process a teeny bit easier. I have two ways to talk about decision making and how to make decisions. Please know this is something I utilize in my life as well. So the first one that really has helped me over the years is figuring out how this particular decision is going to help me in the long run. Oftentimes, when we're making decisions, we're probably thinking from that present moment of how it's going to impact us, but we don't necessarily think about the long-term impact. So I'm a busybody. I have multiple things on my plate. That is just who I am. I've been like that for a very long time. And sometimes in the excitement of finding something new and finding something challenging, I say yes to that thing. But then 5 months later, I'm wondering why I'm so incredibly busy because I didn't necessarily think of the impact it was gonna have in the long run. So I've heard something like the 10-10-10 rule where depending on your decision, you may wanna think of how it's gonna impact you in 10 days, how it's gonna impact you in 10 months, or in 10 years. You could also change the number or the frequency. So maybe it's 10 hours, 10 days, and 10 months if you don't want it to be so further out like 10 years, because it's really hard for us to know how we're gonna be in 10 years. So you could change the frequency of that in any way, shape you like. This part of the decision process really helped me because, like I said, sometimes I'm really excited in the moment to do something, but I may not necessarily know how the long-term impact is gonna be. So for me, even though I'm really excited for something, it really pushes me to stop and think how many things I actually may have on my plate, and is this something I really need to add in this moment, or can I wait a little bit longer? So it allows me to have a little bit more patience in my decisions rather than thinking I need to do it right this moment. We live in a culture where instant gratification is something that we are all living and breathing. So if I wanted to check the weather, it takes me less than a second to go on my phone and check the weather. It also allows me to see the weather for 10 days ahead of time. So we're sort of in this culture where we know many times this notion of getting instant gratification. So know that this method of really stopping and looking at the long-term impact is going to help you slow down and really ask yourself, what is the urgency for why I'm wanting to make this decision right this second? So the second way that I make decisions has been really helpful for me as well. This is one of those methods that I use to make sure that I'm making a decision, whether it's my career, but also in my personal life. Like, I remember this method really helped me, especially when I was going through a breakup and I was very eager to want to contact my ex when I really knew that wasn't the best decision in that moment. So the method that I use for this decision making is most of us think of how we're going to feel when we make the decision in the moment. The reality is it's going to be helpful for us to actually think about how we will feel after that decision has been made. So for instance, if you are wanting to take a job, let's say you have 2 job offers lined up for you, you have to look at how you will feel once you've taken either job A or job B. Most of us are thinking from, what do I do now that I have job A and job B? But it's important for us to look past making that decision and see how we actually would feel. Depending on how you would feel picking job A or job B, you will kind of get the sense of how your body is either curious or excited or a little bit nervous or fearful, and it gives you an indicator of where your instinct really wants you to go. So I mentioned that for me, it also helped me in terms of my personal relationship. So this was a really good, important rule and a reminder for me, because when it comes to breakup, for example, The number one thing that happens for most of us is we really are weaning off of that habitual contact we've had with our partner, who we probably saw daily or on a very regular basis. And having that contact removed from us can be really, really jarring. So you might have something like a funny joke that you heard or a funny article that you read, and the quickness that you want to send that text or stay in contact is so incredibly powerful that we're thinking in the moment how good it's gonna feel sending that text. But it will be important for you to think about how you'll feel after you send that text. And I know in my instance, I knew I really wasn't going to be in a place that would make me feel good. So it helped me really put the brakes on that instant gratification that was coming with full force and full gusto. Now, it's important to remember there are more than enough methods out there in the world on how you make a decision. What I will tell you as someone that is a big believer in doing things small, pick just one or two ways that you make decisions. It could be a series of questions you ask yourself, or it could be a series of, ways where you slow down, maybe pause, reflect, maybe it's pros and cons list. But it's really, really going to be critical in those moments when you have a decision to make that you're actually slowing down and really taking the time to reflect. Because oftentimes in those moments, our anxiety, our fear is literally speeding us up like 120 miles an hour in a fast car. And we really want to have ways to put some brakes on it so we can make a decision that's really going to align with where we want to go in life. Let me know in comments below how you make decisions. What are some methods that help you really make those complex decisions that come in our lives where we're really struggling? Which way to go? If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and follow me on social media at The Indian Counselor.